Sugar Plum, please be careful venturing into the land of bears because it will poison your brain and your mind. I'm here to remind you that you have to take a glass half full approach, not only in life, but definitely in crypto, because there's just so many scams. That's why when we find some nuggets of gold, we hold on to them, such as HEX is real DeFi, PulseChain's real DeFi. I've made many videos that you like, subscribe, press the belly button and all to. I've made many videos to tell you that the community is the asset, not the code. And with that, I bring you friendship and kindness. You see, HEX from Ethereum, otherwise known as eHEX, dropped minus 99.48% from the top to the bottom. And it's vicious and it's cruel. I understand, yeah, it's not the real price because it was a stock split. It was. But it's hard for people to get the message of the stock split when there are so many haters out there, because the haters will only focus on the linear price chart. They will not show you the full story. And this is the full story, right? The price chart, the linear chart, that's all they're going to show. But if you put on a log chart, you get to see what happened at the beginning. You see, it looked like trash at the start too. Don't get me wrong. Don't forget this. I've made many posts to show the real starting point for HEX was like up here at 0.003, 0.002, and then it dropped all the way down minus 98% down here. So, I mean, we're grateful that, you know, the flag of friendship was here and we're able to pump up higher, but it was still nasty down at the bottom. Now, I am not going to sugarcoat anything. We have had way longer time than what they experienced in 2019. You know, there's a bit of a people get a bit antsy about it because some people say, "Oh, I'm more OG," or like, who cares about these status symbols? No one cares. But some of us, we also feel like, man, we've been holding way longer with way less return. It's not worth it whatsoever. But here's the truth, man. The truth is, everything carries risk, and we don't know how the future is going to play out. So all you can do is roll the dice, and how the dice rolls, you can't complain about the dice. So when they were able to hold through the HEX bottom and then able to get some glory, fair enough. Okay, it took them 130 days, 126 days for them to revitalize. If we have to wait longer, then so be it. And you know what? Even if it never happens, then also so be it. I know it's very tough to say this. Life just sucks sometimes. We have to accept the risk. We want it to go higher, but if you can't accept it, it is what it is. That's why I don't like to place any emphasis on short-term movement, because you just need time, and maybe you just need a bit more time than you think. So the pain that we've gone through to sit through is absolutely infinitely higher, not even the same spectrum as what the early OG people had. But remember, if you listen to my videos, I mentioned to you, you measure the pain and whether it was worth it or not by what you get in the future. So really, all you can do is look back and revisit things in moments of time and see whether, like, okay, was the juice worth the squeeze? Was it worth holding? Obviously, with HEX, it was. Are we going to get that again? We don't know. But I'm still going to take a glass half full approach. What I mean by that? Well, soy boys say, you know, HEX dropping minus 99.48% is a weakness. And I'll say half full approach is needed. HEX dropping that much, but there are still 180 content creators promoting PulseChain, HEX, PulseX. Sometimes 140, there's 180 if you include the kind of Zenikans and other people out there that mix and match. It doesn't matter. All that matters, friends, honestly, is that there's over 20. That's it. There's over 20 people. Why? Go and look at YouTube. Go and look at Twitter Roonies. Try to find the influencers from Cardano, BNB, Polkadot, Doge. Go find them. What you'll find is it's hard to find large numbers of them. You've got some XRP community. You've got some in the Cardano, some in Ethereum. You don't have anywhere near what this is. Why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you something. Richard Hart, some say he was the founder of HEX and PulseChain. He leads by example. So he went on and did 3-hour streams. Why? Because Joe Rogan was receiving the largest amount of views at the time for his podcasts, and he was doing 3-hour streams. So Richard Hart just did it. He has an ability. He finds what works in the real world and just copies it. He knows how to do it. You know what's interesting? I bet you went through 3-hour podcasts with Joe Rogan at some point. You never thought to yourself, oh my gosh, so if I ever start a podcast, I will do this format and I will just speak for 3 hours. I never thought of that myself until I saw Richard Hart kind of emulate it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just sat there as a retailer consuming the content. You see that? Consuming the content is completely different than creating it to add value to the world. That's why it's important. There's a very loud megaphone here. The community is still there and it's still strong, man. It's still here. Glass half full approach. So even after absolute atrocities, yes, it's linear chart. Yes, it's not the real one. After all these down 99%, after all of that, they're still there. They're still there, friends. Right, just to show you the proper video. They're still there, man. Still there. Interesting to think about, isn't it? You know, we got to play some special music. I want to remind you this. The community has literally been destroyed, tested, cracked, obliterated. And then it just rose back up. Isn't that inspirational? Look what else happened. Ricardo Corazon, he soft-fudded eHEX and he disappeared. So this is a bit tongue-in-cheek though. He didn't soft-fud eHEX. What he really did was he just stated, he says, it looks like the market has chosen PHEX. He just said that. And then because people were in a selling environment and a selling mood and they were worried and anxious, they interpreted that as an abandonment of eHEX and they went down. During this time, a lot of people came out. They're like, oh, we told you. And I was here gracefully telling everybody, what you don't know is you're all idiots, including him. You think that you are highlighting the good of one point, but what you actually did was yous all fudded your bags all together. And who was right? Unfortunately, I was right. Why? Because we crashed. We capitulated down, bang, down another 90% when you're already down 90%, by the way. So here you are. No, you're actually down more than that. Oh my gosh. We were down 96%, and then the soft fudding occurs, you drop another 80% after you're down 96%. So you think you're smart. You think you're smart, friends, but not everyone. It's very hard to interpret how the market's just going to review stuff. This is why it's a muted game. So this is where I measured it from, right? So you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the US Fed. And when everyone tries to interpret the US Fed comments, like, oh, did they say the word may or must, right? Was he wearing a brown shoe or a black shoe? Doesn't matter. His shoes are crumpled. Who cares about the color of his shoes when they're so tarnished and crumpled? It's in a dire situation for the shoes. I'd hate to see his socks. That's what the market was doing here. How are we going to interpret it? But when everybody's nervous and anxious and they're missing gaps of euphoria, which is obviously we were, then everybody just sells. Everything's interpreted as negative. Even if there's good news, when the good news stops, people say, oh my gosh, it stopped. That's all we got. Oh, that's bad. That's what happens. That's how you get those charts that appear. So even after all these, Richard Hart soft fudding, he gets attacked by the corrupt SEC with their bogus clown claims. Also, fake DeFi Uniswap doing the delisting whilst allowing honeypots, rugs, scams, and securities to be listed there. Subhuman filth, man. How could you do that? How could you? Okay, if you're going to remove HEX, why leave up all the scams and the honeypots and the securities and the scams and all the other rugs and all the trash? Why leave them up? It's because we have a loud megaphone, friends. Remember, we have a loud megaphone. They know who we are. They don't know what like coin poopy 123 is doing today. They don't know what it's doing. So even after all these, and then the corrupt SEC attack. Don't forget the corrupt SEC. Who could forget that? By the way, this isn't just eHEX, just to let you know. This is not just eHEX. This is everything. If this was the corrupt SEC, end of July, near dropping 57% and all the way down. The corrupt SEC making everything drop 50, 60, 70%, literally bang. Already from being cheap. That's crazy, isn't it? That's crazy. So, strength. We also had PulseX dropping, minus 92% below day one sack. That's why just to tell you, HEX community is literally like Terminator. Many other altcoins have never been truly tested, so they carry weakness. This is a loop of Arnie with the shotgun, okay? So, looking at these, man, it's obvious now, right? It's obvious when I pointed out to you. The community is the asset, not the code. Think about it, man. You're fighting. Someone keeps getting knocked down in the ring, and you keep hitting them, and they keep getting up. You're going to get scared. The rest of the industry is scared. Minus 99% was not enough type. I want to ask you this. Do you think XRP would survive a minus 99% drop from today? What about Doge? What about Stellar? What about Polkadot? What about Chainlink? I want to ask you. What about Bitcoin? What about Bitcoin? I want to ask you, 99%. So if Bitcoin was 30K for someone's entry, and then you say, okay, now it's $300. You might say, yeah, it does survive. But would you bet on it? Would you actually bet on it surviving? No, you wouldn't. Very important to think about, isn't it? Because you don't need to even take this speculation further anymore with the HEX community. It happened. It literally happened, friends. It freaking happened, man. Look at this. This is the extent of the damage. It happened. You didn't have to guess. Now, I want to ask you this. Are there all the PulseChain content creators? Yes, they're still here. They're all still there. This picture right here. Look at this. We're all still here. All of them. Whether you like it or not, they're still there. Isn't it fantastic that I made a video and I asked somebody out there, Mr. Crypto B did this, Mr. Crypto B. I'm going to show you right now. Mr. Crypto B made this. I said, we need a visualization of the city so everybody can see. Hey, look at this. Everybody has a badge of honor here. We could draw a badge of friendship and honor, okay? Friendship, do a little heart here. So this badge given to everyone here. Why? You are still here after a minus 99% drop. Not theoretical, not imaginary, not an experiment. No, actual real life. It's actually still standing. It's like a 9/11 hit the building. It crumbles, and then it just gets rebuilt back up. Think about the powerful image that sends out to the community. That's why there are coins out there have not been tested. They will get tested. I also want to remind you this. For the next bull market, when there's euphoria, you might have a great coin and a great community and great utility, but I want you to know you don't have the belt, the experience of sitting through the depression and the bear market in that coin yet. It will come. You don't know how it's going to happen. If we pretend like it's never going to happen, you're never going to make it. So that's why as crypto like PulseChain, PulseX, and HEX continue to survive and exist, the probability that they keep being able to do it will obviously increase over time. But that's also why you get less emotional money over time. You probably get less volatility. But that means you're moving further along the cycle, the adoption curve, and you are diminishing your gains. But the good thing is we're all winning because it's net value add from today. Remember, we're still early. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button, all. I'm going to catch you in the next one.